Hello and welcome to Andy and Ian Talk Networking. I am Andy.
And I'm Ian.
Hey Ian, good to see you again.
It's great to be seen, Andy. It is great to be seen.
Good stuff. Right, so this week, Ian, kind of a different kind of discussion point, I think, for us. Let's actually look at a specific feature that a lot of people may or may not know about, and it's
Right.
probably quite an important one. But probably a lot of people don't understand it, or why to use it, or where they use it, and why not to use it. So let me kind of put the phrase this way: is to deduplicate or not to deduplicate. So,
Oh,
so let's
wow,
kind of start off with a
great.
very simple question. When we talk about deduplication, and we talk about that in our tools aspect, what do we actually mean by deduplication?
Okay. Well, that's a really good topic. So, deduplication, the simple summary is I'm taking, or I have the ability, using, in this case, a broker or any technology, to take a stream of packets that are coming into my device, and I'm able to look at packets that are the same.
Hmm.
I'm using little quotes for that, but packets that are the same, and I'm able to just keep one
Right.
of those packets. So if I've got a stream, they're usually coming through Ethernet, which we've spoken about before. It's a very fast kind of style technology these days, and I'm taking packets maybe either side of a firewall
Yep.
or either side of a LAN, even maybe slightly bigger than just one device, and I'm receiving those packets, maybe with different VLAN tags and other types of things attached to them, but the packet
Doesn't
itself, the,
change.
the
Yep.
bit doesn't change. So I'm able to say, I've seen one.
Yep.
I just want to send that one copy of that packet to a tool, maybe a security tool possibly. And I'm going to then basically deduplicate. I'm going to get rid of the
Yep.
duplicate packets so that I'm not overloading my tools or my
Yes.
system
So
that I
so
am
ultimately, I
using.
mean, really, the key here is that in a most people think, well, I'm monitoring my network, so I'm going to see the packet. But actually, no. When you're monitoring, your large enterprise or your clusters or your data center, you're actually monitoring in multiple places throughout the
Yes.
network. And as a result, when a packet comes in on one end, you're actually going to see it all the way down the chain, all the way between where it
Yep.
comes into your observed network and it gets to its endpoint, its server. So you could have a situation where you have 20 taps or spans, and we've covered that in the past, but you have 20 copies of that packet, as you say, coming in from multiple places throughout your monitored network. And deduplication basically is a way of not, you don't throw it all away, you don't throw the entire bit, but what you do is you strip off the payload effectively.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can, obviously there are different choices, but you can end up getting rid of the vast majority of those packets. But the reason you're going to do it, you think, well, why am I doing this kind of twice? I've got,
Yep.
in your example, 20 copies. The point is you need to see that you received the packet in this
Yep.
location.
At
And
this
then, oh,
time. Yep.
actually, on the other side of this device or this network segment or whatever it might be, actually I didn't get the packet, so something actually went
Yep.
wrong. And that's something that you can then kind of start digging into, because you're going to get all the statistics. You're just going to get rid of the packet
Packet.
itself.
Yep.
So it's just you're trying to not overload your
Yep.
tools. And obviously, depending on how you tackle that deduplication feature, could result in other challenges if you're using a system which is using a CPU for doing all
Yep.
the analytics or the dedupe, then clearly that's going to get a lot of traffic sent to it. If you're using a hardware tooling to be
Yep.
able to do that, to do the dedupe, clearly you're going to get a better performing
Yep.
system.
Yep.
So the thing is, deduplication is very important if your tools don't need to see absolutely every single copy of those 20 copies of the packet as
Yep.
it traverses the entire infrastructure. But you may find that there are tools that do need to get that, so you want to send it in
Yep.
in two different
And then maybe
two
you add
different
something on top
directions.
of that. So maybe you don't do a deduplication, but maybe you just strip out the payload. So you keep those headers, And that way you
Yeah,
can do your hop by hop analysis, you can do kind of your flow timing, load balancer, kind of disconnects,
yeah.
etc.
And also, if you're using storage, right,
Yeah,
you may want to just store one copy of that packet,
yeah,
so that you see, the kind of conversations that are going on, etc. Now, there's lots of kind of weedsy kind of style discussions, and if folks are listening to this and they're like, well, I don't know whether I should be using dedupe or I
yeah,
should be doing this or I should, once again, give us a call. We'd love to have a chat and talk through your specific use case or requirements in your environment.
yeah.
But the simple summary is dedupe is a really powerful feature. It's really good if you do it in hardware, that you don't do it kind of in software where you're likely to have additional loss and other kinds of questions that
Yeah.
come in there. So bottom line is, it's a really powerful tool to help you not overload your whole system.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting because if you're doing a software-based dedupe, you could have a situation where you overload that processor and actually you then start dropping other packets and you might think, well, actually it's because I've got multiple copies. No, the problem is that you've dropped it because you've got no resources left. So yeah, that's another interesting situation where, the architecture of the broker can actually have quite a big impact on, again, the data, depending on what features you switch on. A lot of the brokers I see that are software brokers, the more features you switch on, the more problems you start running into.
Yeah, no, 100%, Andy, 100% indeed. And as I say, that's just something that people are listening to
Yeah.
this, they should be thinking about, because dedupe, as I said, is a powerful feature. It is super useful. It does allow you to make better decisions and better utilization questions. But if you're not using the right architecture, or you kind of try and do it on the cheap, so
Yeah.
to speak, you're going
You
to end
introduce
up
more
with
problems.
other
Yeah.
weird effects,
Yes. Yeah.
especially when you have a high load kind of situation.
Yeah.
If you've got a network that's generally not doing, not a lot, but not doing very much, then maybe you're all good. But as soon as you ramp up
Yeah.
that performance, or maybe you have an attack type situation or a fault kind of situation, you've got to be able to cope with that load. So dedupe is one way that you're going to do that. Do it in
Hmm.
hardware. Make sure you're offloading all those real duplicates. And when
Yeah.
you see something that is wrong, you're going to be able to get it to
Yeah.
your tools
Yeah. And
for
as
it
you
to make
said
sense.
earlier about, storage is another big problem. Storage is expensive ultimately. So when you've got your packet capture there with X terabytes of data, if you're filling it up with the same packet over and over again, it's not that you're going to run out of storage, it's that your cyclical time is going to go down exponentially. So you could end up in a situation where you think you've got enough storage for 7 days, but actually because you've got so many of the same copy of the same packet that actually you've only got 24 hours worth of recall data.
Yeah, no, exactly the case, Andy. And as I say, this is really when, for folks listening, if there's a lot of nuance here, it's just because there are a lot of kind of competing questions.
Yes. Yeah.
So as I say, feel free to reach out. Love to talk more about architectures and questions like this to how does it apply in your particular environment, particularly if you're looking at making a change to add dedupe, or to adjust your tool loading and things like that. So
Yes.
feel free to give us a call. We'd love to have a chat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Once again, thanks, Ian. I think we'll leave it there for today. Again, good conversation. Appreciate it. We'll have some other feature-based discussions, I think, probably going forward. I know we want to talk about cBurst and a whole range of other
Oh yeah.
microburst is definitely one. So yeah, I think we'll set up some of those discussions again to maybe educate people a little bit about some of these features and how they have an impact on your tool selection. So appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Just like to remind everybody to like and subscribe down below. Really helps us with the metrics and keep you updated when we make new videos and release those. So yeah, thank you everybody. Appreciate your time, and we will see you again soon.
Bye for now.